Okay, in this video, we're going to address the feeling of having an inadequate social life. Okay, so this can be easily gained, this handicap, this feeling of inadequacy when it comes to having a flairful, eventful, flamboyant social life. By scrolling through social media and by seeing just how much fun everyone's having. I mean, wow. If really, scroll through social media, your friends, and then friends of friends and other people, and quickly you will gain an impression, a false impression, that everyone's just having a blast and it's all so beautiful and so wonderful. And of course, that's not true. That is seeing the tip of the iceberg. You know that picture where you see the tip of the iceberg, and then it's like all the rest of the iceberg is hidden. It's beneath the surface. Well, what you're seeing on social media, what you're seeing in this the three dimensions, what you see in front of you, your friends. I mean, you may be in school or college, or working, and you see your colleagues showing their pictures to you with their beautiful, lovely weekend that they had somewhere in the cottage with the kids and with this other family friends. And I mean, they just show you a wonderful time, and they can't wait to show the pictures to everybody. Or your friends in college, right? I mean, it's not enough for you to see how much fun they're having on social media, but you gotta be there sometimes to see how much fun they're having, seemingly. Okay, or you maybe come across a couple sitting over there in a coffee shop, and they seem like they're grooving. They seem like they're grooving. Like, yeah, they're grooving. Look at them. They're smiling. It seems genuine, right? I mean, a lot of times it's genuine too for that moment. I could tell that couple is really having a good time right now. They're really grooving. Look, the vibe is so relaxed. They seem like they like one another. It seems like they're having a groovy time right now. And so it's not always false. Sometimes it is indeed a social event where people are grooving, and here you are feeling like, oh, man, like I got no friends. I don't. I mean, where nobody's inviting me to go anywhere. You know, nobody's inviting me. I haven't been with anyone. I haven't had sex for like 5 years now or something. You know, and it's like, man, I kind of feel like a loser here. I'm like some kind of a human loser here. I got no social life. My social life is inadequate, and so of course that becomes a handicap to your progress. Now, I highly, highly, highly suggest that if you haven't watched my video named Fuck Society, that you check that video out and you rewatch it over and over. I'm on my fourth rewatch at the moment. Okay, I'll be watching this well over 10 times. Really, really valuable stuff. You should integrate it into your understanding. You should understand the social game and how it's very obstructive to your happiness and well-being if not put in its right place, and if you're not realized enough in your true self. So, let's address some of these scenarios of people who seem to be having really a lot of fun. All right, let's take the couple that seems to be really grooving over there in a little cute restaurant. Okay, and they're really grooving, and for the moment they are grooving. And you've got to be happy for them that they're in that moment they're grooving. All right, so okay, so let's take a look at what's on their plate first. All right, so the guy ordered some steak with what? With rice and some potatoes, with spices, spicy and salty, right? Okay, so that's what's on his plate, and what's beside that is a glass of beer, right? So, or maybe a glass of wine, but let's say a beer, okay, like a pitcher. And let's take a look at what's on the sweetheart's plate. And well, she didn't get the steak. She's trying to get health. She's trying to be healthier, more health conscious, right? She's vegetarian. She's got eggs, and a glass of milk, and it's like 11 a.m. It's in the morning, right? So she's, like she heard milk and eggs, healthy combination. The guy loves his beer, right? And they're grooving for the moment. I mean, it's a happy moment, and they're both getting their favorite food and their favorite drinks, right? So the sweetheart's got eggs and like an omelet, nice omelet, right? Vegetarian, some roasted tomatoes and roasted vegetables, spiced, salty, right? And yeah, glass of milk. Maybe she'll have a little bit, like a little bit, a little, like half a glass, a little bit, like half a cup of beer or something. Maybe not, Maybe she's deciding, no, I'm trying to be healthier here. Let's just give her the benefit of the doubt. Let's just say that she isn't going to have any beer. Okay, well, okay, all right. So, okay, here we are. The couple's grooving. It's nice and beautiful, and they're eating and they're drinking and they're talking about whatever they like. They share in common. They're caught up on their favorite TV show and they're talking about it, or they just seen a movie and they're discussing it, whatever, right? Or I don't know, whatever they're talking about, whatever people, people get attracted for one another because I guess they share some things in common. All right, so, well, they go on about their day, and the girl goes, does her thing, the guy goes, does his thing. And well, I mean, they ate that food. So I mean, what do you think's gonna happen when you eat food like that? All right, it's gonna start to alter your patterns a little bit. It's gonna start to agitate your body, and it's gonna start to agitate your mind, right? So the girl, sometime, she goes to work or whatever, and she gets off work, or she's about to get off work, and she texts her boyfriend. Now she's not feeling very good, right? She's the food isn't sitting well. I mean, she's getting all mucus because of that milk and the eggs, and yeah, she it's some distortions going on in her mind body complex. And she texts the guy, and I guess he doesn't respond with an emoji. So it's like, why didn't he respond with an emoji? Oh my God, is he talking to another girl? Ba 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 ba. Oh my God, it's like a whole record goes on her head, right? An emergency situation, fight or flight. Is he talking to another girl? Why didn't he give me the emoji? What's going on? What's happening? What's happening? I'm not getting the vibe. Yeah, well, we were okay this morning. I mean, we had a nice breakfast together. I mean, what's going on? Right. Well, okay. First of all, you're in a compromised state already because of the breakfast that you had this morning. You're already in a compromise. You're in a dehydrated state. You're dehydrated. You're dehydrated. Dehydration is the root of all diseases, by the way. Dehydration is the cause of all cravings, and it's. I mean, I have a video coming up on that on dehydration. Right, so you're dehydrated, and that's causing you're going all over the place now. Your mind's going all over the place. Your body is in a compromised state of being. Not to mention that you've just finished work and you're stressed, and you're whatever. You're in a state of stress now, mental and physical stress. Well, okay, your boyfriend is the guy is what he's. I don't know what he's doing. Let's say he works in an office job also, or let's say they both work in an office job. And same thing for him. I mean, his boss just emasculated him. He took him on the side, and he gave him the talk, right? He gave him the talk on how he should improve his job performance. And so he feels emasculated. So that's in all likelihood why he didn't send that otherwise do emoji. He should have sent her that wink or that heart, but he didn't, because he just got emasculated by his boss. His boss gave him the talk. He says, well, you've got to do better. You've got to improve. You've got to improve your performance here in the workplace. And so he's feeling hurt. he's feeling humiliated. And because he's feeling humiliated, well, he didn't send his girlfriend that emoji that he should have otherwise sent her if he was feeling good about himself. And of course, because she's not feeling good about herself, so she misinterprets it as, well, she took it personal, because she's also, her body's in a compromised state, her mind's in a compromised state, and oh boy, and a fight erodes like a volcano. You see that what you have seen momentarily, what you have captured with your limited perception of the situation, of what's going on actually in the lives of these two human beings, you've captured the peak of their experience in an otherwise dull and, quite frankly, depressing life. All right? And so there we go. They fight, and this and that. What's going on? What's wrong? And the guy's gonna repress it. He doesn't wanna tell his girlfriend, I feel emasculated. He doesn't even want to tell himself that. You see? And the girl doesn't want to admit that she's having cramps because her period and stuff, and her hormones because, of course, of the food she's eating. She doesn't want to admit that. Also, doesn't want to admit that she's feeling chronic inflammation. A lot of women, they feel chronic inflammation because their periods are irregular, and when they come, they really feel pain and struggle because of all the food, basically, essentially, but all the other lifestyle habits and factors. Okay, so do you see how limited your perception of the situation is? Now, it's safe to say that is the truthfully, that's the majority of human beings. Okay, let's take all right, Said, you're being gloomy right now, okay? You're taking like an example of two people who have boring ass jobs, and they work in an office. Okay, well, give me a better, okay, all right, I'll give you a better example here. The freshman and the fresh woman, okay? The new college boy and the new college girl who are here to have some fun, and their bodies can handle more of it. They can get away with a lot more. They can get away with eating a few bad meals. They can get away with a couple of drinks. You never get away with it, but when you're younger, I guess your body is able to tolerate it a little bit more than when you're older. Okay, so let's take that example. Aren't they having fun? Look at them. They're making out and they're dancing. Look, you talk a lot about dancing. You preach dancing and how it can be healing and stuff. Look at them. They're dancing. They're having fun. And I'm left here all alone, man. Left here all alone. Well, okay. So they're both under the influence of alcohol. So yes, they're having fun right now, and yes, they're dancing right now. And yes, they're making out right now. But guess what? So are all their parasites. Who do you think instigated the encounter? Right? Who do you think instigated the encounter? I got a feeling the parasites had something to do with it, folks. I got a feeling the parasites had something to do with it, because they want to be fruitful and multiply. Parasites are Bible heads. The vast majority of parasites are Christian. You can go look it up on Wikipedia. Okay, 87% of all parasites are God-fearing Christians. And they read in the Bible, be fruitful and multiply. And so chances are the parasites you've got are Christian too. And they're strict Christians too, Orthodox. Hardcore shit, man. Like in the Bible Belt type Christians. God-fearing Christians. Who do you think instigated the encounter between these two human beings? I got a feeling the parasites got something to do with it, because they're flirting with each other too. So then the human beings, as above, so below, as within, so without. You see? All right. So okay. All right. They're having fun right now. They're experiencing even love. They can even experience love in that moment. Which, they let's say they do experience love for that moment. Yeah, they capture it. Here we go. I love you. You look so beautiful. Oh, you look so beautiful too. Beautiful. Wonderful. Great. Greatest 2 hours of my life. Great. Yes, me too. Greatest 2 hours of my life. Says the two naive college students. And they say it truthfully, and they mean it. This is the best 2 hours of my life. Come here, let's make out some more. Let's dance. Let's kiss. Here, another beer. Another beer. Here, let's go for a smoke, right? I mean, you know what comes with even if you're not a smoker, all right? I was a smoker and a drinker, and I'll tell you, it's like you change smoking when you drink. Let's go for a smoke. Let's go back. Let's make out some more. All right, so it's 1 a.m. You want to go back to my place, babe? Yes. Let's do it. Let's do it already. Come on. Come on. I'm getting wet for you. All right. But you want to grab a little bite? All right. What's around? Well, oh, yeah, right. At 1 a.m. outside the club, you've got all these beautiful, wonderful, raw healing restaurants, right? So that's what they're going to eat. Of course, it's pizza a lot of times, or a burger or something. Pizza. Pizza was my preferred drug of choice. And so, all right, let's eat pizza. So let's go. Let's eat pizza. All right, here, my arms around you. Let's get pizza. Okay, doesn't still looks wonderful. I mean, he's got his arms around the girl, and she's got his arms around him, and they're like, oh, they're so close, and looks wonderful. Looks like a wonderful scene. Still, even at 1 a.m. at Burger King, still looks good, doesn't it? On paper, it does, and it sure looks good, like right here. All right, so let's go back to my place. Let's go, baby. Call an Uber, right? And you get a really nice Uber driver, like yours truly used to be in his days. And so it's a beautiful date, beautiful day, and a nice Uber driver to make it all wonderful. All right. So they get to the guy's place, and begins to undress the girl, and she begins to undress him. And well, if you're lucky enough, at that point, you can still get it on, because if you've been drinking and you've been drinking too much, you're gonna have some problems there, right? You're gonna have some problems there. You may not get up. But let's give the guy the benefit of the doubt, and let's say it gets up, right? Well, here comes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and boom, right? Because at that point, you have no control anyway. You got no control over your bodily functions. You get really excited, and you're drunk, and you know what I mean? So, boom. So, here we go, 10 minutes, and the guy now is like drunk, and he just spilled his seed, and his breath stinks, and he just ate pizza. Right? You've got another human being in that exact same predicament. And guess who's sitting in the background celebrating all of this? Those parasites. Those parasites are like, yes. I mean, they're already now, because the two came together and they're exchanging bodily fluids and all kinds of things. I mean, that's the exchange parasites. So from the perspective of the parasite, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. Wonderful. Parasites are happy. And anyway, so they both pass out or whatever, and they wake up the next morning, and the girl's like, what the hell did I do? And the guy's thinking the same thing, and the guy's like, well, you don't look as good as you looked last night. Well, he's not gonna say it verbally. Hopefully he's not that much of an asshole, but the girl is thinking just the exact same thing, and she's like, oh my god, what did I do? And you're looking around, and you've got some beer bottles there, and your breath stinks and her breath stinks, because you kidding me? I mean, you both stink. All right, that's the next morning. You both stink. Everything in you stinks. Your armpit stinks like her armpits stink. Your breath stinks like death. Her breath stinks like death. Okay, and you're wondering, did I go down on her last night? Man, I hope I didn't go down on her last night, because I don't know. I mean, because that definitely stinks down there for you and for her. All right. I don't want to paint a picture in your head right now, because I'm starting to get disgusted a little bit myself here. So, all right, the stinkiness there. All that. I mean, your body's like it's trying to get rid of all these toxins that both of you put in, right? So, here we are. These are the two people that seem to have the most fun, and you captured it with your limited perception, and you think you have an inadequate social life. Right. Think again, my friends. Think again. See it with your third eye. See the whole thing unfold in front of you. Don't just capture it like a camera. Capture it like a video. Okay, capture it like a video from A to Z. So look at A to Z. Okay, and if you want to actually go from way A to way Z, you're not gonna just zoom out and see this. You're gonna zoom out a little bit more to see two souls that are working on themselves, and knowing that the most of souls in human form are third density souls. So then you zoom out a little bit more and you see that they're suffering. Actually, you see the two souls are suffering, right? They're trying, they're trying, but you see that they're suffering. You see they've been stuck in the earth karma, and you see that they're suffering, and their suffering goes deep. And most humans are very, very ignorant of this. And Buddha pointed it out, even said most humans are just ignorant of their predicament. So you zoom out even further if you want to see the real A to Z here, and then you realize, man, I'm not missing out. In fact, I used to think I was missing out back in the college days, in the university days, because I just sort of chose the path of solitude, or the path of solitude chose me. And I never liked to go to parties. I did do it the first 2 years because everybody was doing it. I wanted to see what the rave is all about. And now, and I remember so many close calls with some girls. Like, we would make out, but then something would happen, and then we wouldn't get together. And I thought, I was just like, man, I have so many of these things that happened to me in those years. Close calls, close encounters that didn't happen. Oh, we made up, but something happened there. Oh, I didn't see her again. She didn't see me again. Oh, only if I texted her again, I think, we would have taken it to the next level. We would have gone to third base, or something like that. Lots of those things in college for me. Lots of them, those close calls. And now I look back, I'm like, wow, thank you, Star Fam. You look out for me. The whole time you were looking out for me, because you didn't want this energy mix right now. You didn't want it for me, and her people, were probably looking out for her, because again, it's just, it really, at the end of it, there's just like, two different vibrations here, and it wouldn't be good for neither one of the two souls to get together. So you see, it's a mutual thing. It isn't just my people looking out for me. So I'm like, wow, but thank you, thank you. And now I'm like, oh man, the amount of energy that I would have accumulated if all these close encounters with all these girls would have actually manifested into something sexual, and then something more, where we would be even more intimate. Because I had all kinds of parasites at the time too. So it was all the parasites, playing their politics. But of course, the Star Fam was there too, also, looking out for me, truthfully, because I was asleep, completely asleep at those times, completely. And now looking back, I'm like, wow, like these guys hooked it up. The Star Fam really looked out for me enough times. Now they don't do it as much because, I'm much more conscious. And so they understand, okay, well, you woke up to the whole thing, to the whole scene. So I'm a lot more conscious now. I would, so they don't look out as much, but they still do. But in those times, I was completely asleep. So it was like they really looked out, they really hooked it up. A lot of times, so many close calls. And who knows what would have happened. I would have gotten with this girl, we would have had sex. Next thing you know, we're attaching to one another, and here we go, parasites and energy, and I would have soaked in her energy, and oh boy, she would have soaked in my energy, and it's like, attachments, and then parasites, be fruitful and multiply. And yeah, you see? So, bottom line, and we could go on about different scenarios too, right? I mean, we could talk about what? There's a lot of scenarios we could talk about here, but you get my drift, you catch my drift, you see what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to show you here. Things are not as they seem, period. They are not as they seem. What's the proof of this statement? Because we live in a dream state. This is a dream state. All of this is a dream, but that seems real, doesn't it? Yeah, it seems real. It's same thing. When you capture people that seem to you that they're happy. They seem they're happy, and they seem like, they're having a blast, and you see their pictures on Instagram, and you see them in person, they look like they're having a lot of fun. Well, you're not seeing the big picture here. You're not seeing that perhaps that girl is only with that guy because she's trying to get back at her ex. A lot of times it happens, right? She's trying to get back at her ex, so she's trying to move on. She's trying to, like, all right, let's go to the next guy. Instead of sitting down and be like, okay, look, what's going on here? I feel so hurt and so heartbroken. What's going on? Rumi says, the light shines where the wound is. But instead of doing that, you're chasing the next guy, the next girl. So yeah, it looked like they're happy, but I mean, you look at people's eyes and you see great sadness in a lot of their eyes, truthfully. You see this deep sadness. You see this deep sadness in people's eyes. I saw this, you know what, I'm not even going to talk about it because it's a little bit personal and I want to respect the free will of this person. But I saw deep sadness in this person's eyes. Deep. I was looked at their eyes and I was like, that's, deep sadness, because that person tried to escape certain things in their lives by getting involved with so many people and doing so many things. And then I felt genuine empathy, because I saw that this is the human condition. You see it in so many people's eyes, deep sadness, like void, like I'm not really fulfilled. And you could, I remember this one time. I actually remember exactly the month too. October 2017. I was with my friend. We went to the conservation land. We took a tap of acid, and then I was hanging out there. And he says my friends are there. There's a big party. They're drinking and stuff. And I didn't want to go with him. And I was like, man, I want to hang out here in nature. He's like, come on, bro, come on. I was like, all right, let's go. But I told him we'll go back to nature, right? He's like, yeah, let's just go for an hour. I said, okay, let's go. So we went there, and everybody's drinking, and I was like, man, like I was constantly focusing on the trees because I wasn't getting good vibes. I dropped one tap. You're very sensitive, but I was like, I kept concentrating on the trees, and I kept, I'm like, let my friend have his fun. If in 20 minutes he doesn't say let's go, I'm gonna be like, bro, I'm just heading straight to the woods. I'm just like, I had my emergency plan ready. If he wants to hang out here, I was just gonna go do it myself, like, and yes, okay, there's this beautiful blonde, okay, superficially beautiful, very beautiful, okay, and she was there, she was drinking, and I'm just hanging out there, looking at her, and I was like, she's really, she looks nice. So I go up to her, we start talking, and she's with her friend, and she's like, come on, more beer, and she wants more indulgence. I was like, all right, go with your friend, go do what you do your thing, get the beer. So she got another beer or whatever, and we're talking, and I looked at her, and I was like, I said something like, you're just trying to escape all, because I was on a tap of acid. You just see through shit. And she seemed so happy, from an external point of view, she seemed so happy. So like, oh, life of the party. She seemed like the life of the party, right? And all the guys, she had one guy here, and the next day another guy comes. Every guy's trying to get with her, basically, right? Every guy was trying to get with her, and I guess she sensed the vibe that I didn't give a shit. Because I didn't give a shit. I had to drop the tap of acid. Who needs what? I don't need what. I'm God, right? So she liked me, and so we were hanging out. I didn't want nothing to do with her. We were just talking, and I looked at her in the eyes, and I looked her straight in the eyes. I was like, you're escaping all your problems. You seem like there's a beautiful person inside there, but you seem very sad to me right now. And she looked at me like this, and she froze. She completely froze. And I was like, yeah, I could see through this right now. I could see through all this act. I could see through your entire act right now. You're just putting on an act right now. That's why you're drinking. That's why I just told her the straight truth. Like that straight truth. Straight up. Like straight up. Unadulterated. Okay? Pure. And she froze. Because she understood that was exactly what's happening. And then I was like, all right, I guess there was some other people that I knew, so we talked to them, and she actually came and she grabbed me, right? Because she's like, holy shit, like nobody's ever told me that. Like nobody's ever told me the truth about me. I didn't even know that. And she wanted to talk some more, and she started to kiss me, and then we made out for a little bit, but I understood. That's about it. That's about it. That's it. All right. That's about it. And yeah, she was just like, she was shocked, and this was the truth, and she didn't even know it. And I brought it up. Because I was on the top of acid, and I didn't want anything from her. I did not want anything from her. In fact, I didn't want anything. And we made out a little bit. And I was like, all right, I got to go. And I went. And I dragged my friend. I said, you want to stay here? You want to go? I'm going to the woods. And he, what did he do? I'm trying to remember here. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. But yeah, we ended up going to the woods together. And it was a beautiful day thereafter. When you come down, the afterglow, it's beautiful. So, yeah, that's the truth about most human beings, is they're actually sad and they're suffering, and Buddha pointed it out. He said, life is dukkha on this plane. He was talking about this plane. Life is dukkha. Life is suffering. Because all of these people are suffering. Now, you could look at it from so many perceptions. You could look at this person 20 years from now, and you would see them suffering 20 years from now. You could even see them suffering right now. Had you but the eyes to see. The eye. The one eye. Thine eye be single, sees something like thine eye be single, you will see the light or something, right? It's like if you see it with this, you like look at this and you're like, you see the whole thing, birth and death. You see the whole thing unfold right before your eyes. And then you say, well, a social game. Wow, what a trap. In the way it is right now anyway. Okay, what a trap. And everybody's getting trapped by it because most human beings are not mature enough in their soul's evolution. Third density souls, right? Not a judgment, simply an observation, So let me pause this for a second. And we're back because we are always forced to take a break around the 32nd minute. Or 33rd, because then the video cuts off. So, life is dukkha on this plane. And if you're a third density soul, you're suffering a lot. And so when you see these people trying to have fun, that's them escaping that suffering momentarily. And then they use drugs and substances which dehydrate them and swell their organs and age them early. And yeah, you know what I mean? The whole thing, man. The whole thing. Now, what about the healthy community side, right? They seem like they're having fun. They're drinking kombuchas. And they're eating all this raw food and stuff. Of course, these communities are very healthy. They're much healthier, much more uplifting and positive, right? But the souls there themselves are also dealing with their own attachments, with their own suffering, essentially. Just it's lessened because they're more conscious. Okay. So you're not really missing out on anything, I really say this, again, like. I'm speaking here from the wisdom, okay? I'm shooting straight from the 5th and 6th densities at you, okay? But in the fifth density, because you go even past the 4th. The 4th is love, union. You want to be in communion. But what happens when you actually go beyond the 4th density? Because 4th density is all about love, and you see all these conscious communities springing up everywhere on the planet, and people want to get together in a healthy way, and that's great. God bless. Salute. But even when you go beyond the 4th density, what's the quality of the 5th density? Wisdom. What do beings do at 5th density? They actually just hang out in solitude for most of it. And then in the 6th, they want to balance that out. But for the most part, the more and more you get higher up the game, the more you just realize, I am God, I am Source. And the being that is experiencing the individual soul tends to just want to be more in its own presence because it's enough. You can't add to perfection. How about that? You can't add for perfection, folks. You can't add to perfection. You're perfect. You're perfect. So you can't add to perfection. And that's when you get to the wisdom, 5th density, 6th density, you realize that. So then at 6th density, what is the work of love? It isn't the work of let's go start up a community, man. Or let's hang out, let's be part. The work of love becomes service. Then you serve however that's necessary. It may require you to be in a community, to come to earth and start your own community. I'm kind of doing that here with this community, right? but you're not starting a community because like, oh man, like it's gonna be awesome to be part of the community. You're just doing it because you're here to serve, because your work in a I'm sixth density soul, right? So uh, your work in the sixth density becomes to balance love and wisdom. And so your balancing of love becomes service. That's your love, you serve. Your wisdom is just seeing that, hey, like at the end of the day, there's only one path back to the light, as different and as varying and as infinite as the paths seem, which is the path of aloneness. It's what Terence McKenna calls the flight of the alone to the alone. It's the flight of the alone to the alone. So it turns out you're not missing out on anything. It turns out, if you're a wise being, you tend to avoid large crowds. That's the truth of it. Even large crowds that seem to be, conscious and healthy, you tend to, restrict your, because you're conscious, you're wise. Wisdom is conscious. You're conscious. You're like, man, there's a lot of energies here. What energies am I taking on, and what's going on, and what's I mean, because in the conscious communities, for example, there's people come together and they assume that we are certain. Everybody here is at a certain level of enlightenment, which is not true. Everybody's still in one way or another in their own stage of evolution. You see, so. The wisdom is that understanding. When the soul goes beyond fourth, fifth density is a higher density. Then the soul actually just kind of goes on its own path, and it's just gravitates towards solitude, towards aloneness, and it continues like that in the sixth density, except for you do service work. You're part of a social complex. It's a lot for me to explain here. You're part of a social complex. But it's kind of like monks in a temple. They're part of the monk. They're part of the social complex called the monastery. But each one of them is completely on their own, completely sovereign. It's still you still retain your individuality until you go to the seventh and eighth densities, and even then there's still a level. I think you always retain some degree of individuality. By virtue of creation, it's almost God gives its all its parts an individual identity that cannot be fully resolved forever, at least, because it's forever playing out different things and different parts of it. So you see, but you could reach that full nirvana, which you're totally just the whole thing. But even then the cycle starts again, and it goes on for eternity. So then you gain back some individuality. So it's always going to be there, and so it's kind of exactly the social memory complex is exactly like a think of a monastery. Think of like, say, there's 50 monks in there, and it's a social memory complex. They all chant together. They do this together, but each one of them is like completely on their own, right? It's a completely sovereign being, you see. And if that sovereign being chooses to even want to leave the social memory complex, they can do so. They can just not be a monk anymore, you see. And so it's the same way. So as the soul gains wisdom, it actually just goes on a solitary path because it needs nothing. You can't add perfection to perfection. And the whole social game is always trying to add something, like add a friend, add this, add that, add an experience, add a lover, add a memory, right? Memory. Let's have more memories. Let's make more memories. Let's collect memories. It's a joke. Okay, so thank you to the Patreons. We're up to 30. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. We're up to 30 now. So, we'll have a community house coming up. Okay, the idea of a community house, if it doesn't manifest in 2020, I promise you guys the year after. Okay, but I'm really like looking for locations, looking for things, playing out the prices and everything. Okay, initially I wanted to do it for free, but I realized if, until the community here grows enough and there's enough support on Patreon, but we'll see. We'll figure something out. I'm in the process of it's in the making. The idea's in the making. And of course, I would like to avoid the pitfalls, the pitfalls of everything that comes with a community. I'm very aware of it. You see, I'm very aware of the social dynamics that spring up in a community. So, it's good for all of us to understand the stuff that I talk about here so that, whenever, because this is like, I can't help it. It is a community and it is growing, and, I am here creating this community, whether I like it or not. no matter how much I preach the benefits of solitude and aloneness, which Terence McKenna calls it is you're alone. You're all one. You're one being at the end of the day, and it's the flight of the alone to the alone. But I am creating this community. It is growing. You guys are supporting it on Patreon, and I'm so grateful, very, very grateful, and I love you guys. And so we'll talk more about that in the future. If you want to support, the link is in the description for Patreon. And what else? Saeed Mubayyid at Instagram. And until next time, may the force be with you.